Chapter 1. Partly Cloudy, Mostly Sunny. The section on my birth certificate reserved for my father's name is blank. The inside of the narrow, barren, horizontal box has neither been struck through nor erased. It simply lies willfully untouched. So my birth certificate, like many others, tells by omission the story of a mother and father who were never married. This piece of paper was seldom referred to. It almost didn't exist at all, because I almost did not. Meet Mother. She is always Mother to me. From when I first learned to speak, never Mom or Mommy. She is the youngest child of her family. She spends her free time during her high school years modeling in local fashion shows, brushing shoulders with Soul Train hopefuls, and winning the Jabberwock. You'll never find a subject my mother hasn't read up on and doesn't have plans to conquer. So when Mother finds out she is pregnant with me, she is not ecstatic. She is chained in her second trimester, trying to find a way to pick the lock. She has already known the abrasive reality of being a single mother. Adding to her undisclosed trials with another fatherless child is not the magazine cutout she had ever glued on her 80s vision board. This is why I almost did not exist. Months before that one-sided information was recorded on my birth certificate, Mother set out to abort me. She had already had my sister at 17, and the thought of raising 2 daughters on her own at 21 was in tension with her own dreams. But before she went ahead with her plan, she sought out advice from a Baptist minister whose spirit-filled words convinced her not to go through with it. That's what I'd like to think. Or it may have been the fact that by the time she found out, she was too far along in the pregnancy to end my life in our small Michigan town and would have had to travel to a large city like Detroit or Chicago, which made the whole thing too inconvenient. I owe my life to that pastor's words or those logistical complications. Apart from a few friends, Mother had little to no support while pregnant with me. She was no longer seeing my dad or my sister's father, and to be pregnant again was frowned upon by our family. My mom's mom, Mama, would have scowled at the news. The center of our family, Mama, is always busy at service, preparing a plate of food for anyone who stops by. If not ruminating over a cast iron skillet on how to feed the belly, she is tarrying in prayer for a soul. Her Holy Bible is opened each day by hands which once picked Alabama cotton, but now, ever since she headed north in the Great Migration, shovel Michigan snow all winter and then hoe dirt on Good Friday to plant mustard greens and Kentucky wonders. On Sundays at church, she slides my sister and me a slither of Trident gum, giving us a little something to chew on, but never enough to blow a bubble. The fact that my grandmother was divorced and then remarried is confidential information that has been locked away in the memories of older family members, never to be used in a game of telephone. Coming up, I know nothing of it. My mother is the result of her second marriage, and my grandfather died when my mother was 9, so I knew nothing of him. Marriage is valued by Mama, and so since my mother has no intention of entering it, there is a problem. So no, this pregnancy was not celebrated with a yellow Pooh Bear bassinet with a matching piglet blanket, pink bows, or a smocked dress. During Mother's pregnancy, she was left alone to sit in her own mother's disappointment. And when Mother's body began contracting, she checked into Butterworth Hospital alone. No one was there to hold her hand or tell her it would be okay when she went into labor one brisk November, the day after Thanksgiving. My mother and father had met at a dance a couple of years before I was born. I like to envision them falling for each other at some point during their rhythmic sways to Let's Get It On, or being enamored by each other's footwork during the club's mock Soul Train line as the DJ changed the vinyl to Michael's Rock With You. With Grand Rapids being a small town where everyone knows when you come and go, I imagine that the fact that my dad was from a big city like Chicago felt mysteriously appealing to my mom. Meet my dad, Dee. He is smooth as suede and, being the eldest of 6, a natural leader. With his father absent from his home, he has been the one to enforce his mother's will. He's as rugged as the projects he was raised in. He is brown like a Tootsie Roll, and when people get to know him, they soon realize he's just as sweet. By the time Mother gave birth to me, she was no longer dating my father. The relationship had been on again, off again, but now it was permanently off. From what I've been told, it seems like they knew how to press each other's nerves. So when Mother decided she would go through with the birth, she also decided she would give me up for adoption. Not hours after she had had me, she later told me, I looked her straight in her brown almond-shaped eyes. I wonder if she saw herself in mine. Maybe the idea of what I could be was ricocheting off of her hopelessness, leaving fragments of delight to soak up some of the disappointment she felt. I'm sure that after they pulled me from her cloven belly, I cried like every living newborn. But when they laid me next to her, I just stared at her. What was in that exchange? As we gazed into each other's souls, both looking for answers? Maybe my eyes signaled that I would rather she not let me roam too far, or that God works in mysterious ways and sometimes brings much good out of much sorrow. Whatever, Mother always says that that moment melted her heart toward me. Her cousin convinced my grandmother to come to the hospital with her, ungluing Mama's cemented plans. Aided by the words of the doctor who told her, "You don't seem like the type of woman who would give your child away," and her cousin's words, Mother decided she was okay with having 2 daughters. Still, I don't know that there was much of a celebration when they stitched her stomach after the C-section and the epidural wore off. No pink balloons or confetti that day to my knowledge. But I made it. God threw me a birthday party, and for that, I am thankful.